Good morning, it's John again here, and I'm going to continue with my small little series titled Why? Today is Tuesday, I think. It's quite hard to keep track of the days these days, but yeah, I believe it's Tuesday. And so I'm going to read it's going to be very short today, only 2 columns worth of reading. I will tell you that Thursday, there will be a lot of reading. So prepare yourself for that, but today it's nice and short. We're going to be starting in Mark, this true story of what happened in Holy Week 2,000 years ago or so. So let's remember what happened yesterday. All the Pharisees tried to trap Jesus in his words, but they couldn't. More fool them. And yeah. And as we draw closer to the Passover and Good Friday, things are starting to heat up a little bit. So here we are in Mark chapter 14. This story is about Jesus being anointed. The question today is, why the waste? So, let's dive in. Mark 14. Now, the Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread were only 2 days away, which is true. It's Tuesday, and the feast started on Thursday. And the chief priests and the teachers of the law, boo! They were looking for some sly way to arrest Jesus and kill him. But not during the feast, they said, or the people may riot. While he was in Bethany, Jesus that is, reclining at the table in the home of a man known as Simon the leper, a woman came with an alabaster jar of very expensive perfume made of pure nard. Just want to say, Simon the leper most probably wasn't a leper anymore, because if Jesus was at his house, I'm very sure Jesus would have healed him of his leprosy. Anyway, a woman comes up to him with really, really expensive perfume, 300 denarii worth. Anyway, I'll carry on. This woman, she broke the jar and poured the perfume on his head. Some of those present were saying indignantly to one another, including the disciples, "Why the waste of perfume? It could have been sold for more than a year's wages. And the money could have been given to the poor." And they rebuked her harshly. That is very expensive perfume. Can you imagine? In these days, perfume worth more than a year's wages. For some, that could be 20,000, 30,000 pounds worth of perfume in one jar. And this woman has gone crack, pour on Jesus' head. So they shouted at her, "Why are you wasting? What have you done? You could have fed so many people." But then Jesus said, "Leave her alone. Why are you bothering her? She has done a beautiful thing to me. The poor you will always have with you, and you can help, but you will not always have me. She did what she could. She poured perfume on my body beforehand to prepare for my burial. I tell you the truth, wherever the gospel is preached throughout the world, what she has done will also be told in memory of her." And what powerful words, because here I am 2,000 years later or so, reading this story to you guys about what that woman did. And yes, it was expensive perfume, and yes, some people could see it as why a waste. But in Jesus' eyes, that woman gave so very much in an act of worship to Jesus. And again, it's an attitude of the heart. She wasn't thinking about, what can I do if I sell this, and what can I buy with this perfume? She gave so much because she loved. And wow, Jesus was obviously so flattered and moved by it that he said, he said that truth. Wherever the gospel is preached, she'll be mentioned. And so I'm mentioning her now. So yeah, that's why it was used, not wasted. The disciples saw things with a money eye. But Jesus doesn't need money. God's resources are infinite. And so he looks way beyond money and how much a thing is worth. So I'm jumping from Mark now to Matthew. the last little chunk. This is what happens after that. Then, one of the 12, the one called Judas Iscariot, went to the chief priests, and he asked them, "What are you willing to give me if I hand him over to you?" So they counted out for him 30 silver coins. From then on, Judas watched out for an opportunity to hand Jesus over to them, to betray him. Why? You have the wrong attitude. I'm going to go thousands of years back into the past to Exodus 21. A little thing here. Where was it? So this is just like Exodus is listing out lots of laws. Exodus 21 verse 32. If the bull gores a male or female slave, the owner must pay 30 shekels of silver to the master of the slave, and the bull must be stoned. So if a nasty animal kills one of your slaves back in Exodus times, back when slavery was less evil than it is today, there were certain rights for slaves back then. Let me say that. It wasn't necessarily a good thing. Anyway, if your slave was killed in those days, they were worth 30 shekels of silver. 30 silver coins. Go back thousands of years back into well, not the future, not the present, but still the past for us. But go from Exodus back to Matthew. They offered Judas 30 shekels of silver to hand over Jesus. The price of a slave. I'll leave that with you. So yeah, that's all I'm going to read today. We've had the anointing, we've had Judas doing his Judas. It's a shame, really, that name is now ruined forever. Anyone who calls their child Judas, just a little bit done for, really. So yeah, and now, tomorrow I'm going to read to you guys the signs of the end of the age. I used to love reading that when I was younger. It's quite a big chunk tomorrow, but it's all Jesus talking about, the end of the age, and is that the end of the world? Who knows? He just talks about lots of signs that are going to happen, which is quite interesting. In the chronology, he would have already said that by now, but I've left it for tomorrow because we are 2 days from Passover, and this is when the story I read today happened 2 days from the Feast of Unleavened Bread. And Thursday, of course, is the Last Supper, so I shall read that on Thursday. Lots of reading on Thursday, so I'm going to do it in different chunks and recommend you watch it in bits. Listen to it in bits. Right, okay. Thanks for watching. Have a lovely day, all of you. I will see you at 5:30 if you want to listen to The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, which has been very fun. But yeah, just think about why the waste? Was it actually a waste? That was the question for today. I say no. Jesus says no. What do you think? Who knows? Have a great day. Bless you guys.